All right, Mike. Seems to be a common theme here with us in this show on day games. And I guess that means that it really is the Reds themselves. Got to get the bottom bar in there, and you're good to go, Mike. But the fact of the matter is the Reds are down 9-1. I would like to say if you do this long enough, you never know. But I really don't think that if you did it long enough that it would ever come to fruition anyway. So how's your day been? You had to watch this, so it's not great.
Yeah, it's all right. It's we saw some interesting baseball. I'm sure that they'll talk about it, but overall, my brother's in town, and so I get to after this go and hang out with him. He lives out in the West Coast, so it'll be fun to be able to watch or to hang out with him this weekend. We're gonna watch the U.S. men's national team game together, so it should be a fun weekend.
What about Congo DR? You know anything about that, Mike? You've been paying attention to the World Cup today.
I have not. No, I've been locked in on this game, unfortunately.
Okay, well, I had moved. Typically, depending on the situation at home, I will watch something on my phone if it's important enough to me, and then have the television also on. My son, he's a Ronaldo fan, like most young kids, so he wanted to watch Portugal, and of course. I'm not trying to be a heel, but there's the DR Congo, first time in the World Cup, Mike. As we progress through this baseball game that we actually do on a daily basis, 9-1 as a reminder, man on second base with one out, with Jose Trevino up, just the guy you would like to have up to start a rally, or I guess in this case the type of guy you'd like to have up if you're looking to get out of town on getaway day. But DR Congo, first ever World Cup. And even more impressively, they have to go up against Portugal, who's one of the World Cup favorites. 2 outs as we almost wrap this thing up. And, like most people thought, Portugal scores early, 1-0 lead. And you're like, okay, well, this is probably going to end up being a rout. Maybe not to the likes of what Germany displayed the other night, but, you're thinking it's going to be a rout. And then all of a sudden, the first goal in World Cup history for DR Congo off of a header, 1-1, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to keep this on. So I put that on the main television. I had the iPhone in front of me. No free ads, but I guess I have a phone in front of me, and I'm watching the Reds. And I just got to be honest with you, Mike. There was about a half inning every so often that went by, and I just forgot to look down at my phone. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. That game is still going on. Meanwhile, I just watched the DR Congo get a draw. They got a point out of playing Portugal. You never know. That's what makes sports awesome.
Almost as good as that Cape Verde draw. Did you watch? I watched the second half of that game, and that was electric.
I did not get a chance to see that.
I think Spain had the ball 95% of the time in that second half. They didn't start their main dude, like their young superstar, and they brought him in the 70th minute, and he was going up against this right back that plays in the second league of Romania or something like that, and they couldn't score. 0-0 draw.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, hey, my favorite thing so far with the World Cup is by far the fact that I get to see all these random videos on socials of foreigners essentially interacting with like American culture, and it's not so much the American culture that's like, New York City or something like that. It's like, this is like legit. Like, you got Algerians in Lawrence, Kansas, of all places. You have I don't know which team it was, but they're like in some kind of Brit is in Alabama, some random town in Alabama, Macon, Georgia. It's like some guy I was watching just last night is like going off-roading through these crazy in the woods, just like something I've never done, but it looks just insane to do. And, it's pretty cool. It's almost like when you strip back the layers of things you don't really get to see all that often. It's like humanity is at its best when sports are happening, man. It's like sports are just so awesome for humanity.
Did you see Scotland take over Fenway Park?
Yeah. I mean,
that was incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, man, them walking to the stadium with the bagpipes and the kilts. Oh, that was so fun.
Oh, yeah. And I was like, I know that TQL Stadium, no free ads, but they were in the running supposedly, of perhaps having some of these World Cup games or a World Cup game, and it didn't come to be. But I do wish that there was some kind of stadium or game that's somewhat close to us. I mean, I guess Kansas City's, I wouldn't call it close, as Arroyo looks like he's going to ground this to the shortstop, and we get to do a show. So there you go. That's what went down there. In the bottom of the ninth, 9-1 are the victors of the New York Mets. Reds win the series. I don't know if we're excited about that or not, but nonetheless, we'll talk all about it here in just a moment.
And a bench to bench. Change hit in the air to deep right field. That goes Clemente. And the save. He's done. Get out of here, baseball. He's gone. Oh, my God. Can you believe it? Johnny Bench has tied it up.
The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep.
In the dirt. It's a wild pitch. Here comes Foster. The Reds win the pennant.
Perkins won the game. That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none. Welcome Joe Randa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again.
Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Chatterbox is a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded, the outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on, long drive, right field, and this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive. Hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club.
Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McClain's first big league bomb.
Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again.
The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive. Left center field. Racing back to the Laurent Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? Did he? He did! He did! Reds win! Reds win! Liner to right field. Genius, the first Red ever with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Doesn't have a chance. The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win it. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
All right, Mike, a day game here as we round out the Mets series. They lose. They have a chance to sweep, do something special. Like I said before, you can't win 10 in a row unless you win 3 in a row. Well, we're right back to square zero with the win column because ultimately the Reds fall 9-1, and it was, for the most part, a really ugly game. I don't know much to say that's going to be positive in a show like this outside of the fact that we do have some solidified answers from myself. I've seen some things today, and maybe this is a little overreactionary, but I don't think it is. I seen enough today that I am willing to die on the hill of one specific thing, and we'll get into that obviously later in the show. But before we do have a super chat or two I'd like to get to before we do the box score recap, and let's jump into it now. Why not? Big Red Machine coming in with a super chat as always. I always love the Big Red Machine. Everybody knows that. This really feels like 2022. 100-game lost season. We lost another T-ball game. All we have to look forward to is Ellie coming back and Chatterbox Reds. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's more to look forward to, but it's not in the traditional sense that most Reds fans would like to look forward to something. I think that not that we're back to watching prospects or something along those lines, but we need to start paying really close attention to some storylines and some things that need to take place for what the direction is as we head forward as this organization as a whole, because I think that there's one glaring issue that we find ourselves continuing to do that I said we'll get to here in just a bit. Mike, you can give your overarching view on a 9-1 game if you'd like. We can jump into the box score recap. I'll let you kind of steer the ship here before we kind of get going.
Yep, disappointing game. I think it started out with a little bit of bad luck, and then from there spiraled to just some sloppy baseball. So that's I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit more. It was unfortunate. Obviously, it wasn't a game that you look at the lineup and things like that. There's certain things that as we're going, it was a very classic getaway day lineup, but. Yeah, it kind of snowballed and got out of hand early, and I think there's a few positives that we can get to, but yeah, for the most part, pretty sloppy and not great day of baseball.
No, not at all. All right, box score recap, even though it's probably a relatively disgusting one. Mike, you can give the Cliff Notes version if you like, but
I'll try to keep it. Yeah, I will try to keep it tidy. But first, the Chatterbox Reds is brought to you, and this box score recap brought to you by Sharefax Credit Union. Summertime is here, and it's a perfect time to start those home renovations. Sharefax has a $0 down closing cost special that is extending until June 30th for home equity loans and lines of credit. Restrictions apply. Contact Sharefax for details at 513-753-2440 or visit sharefax.org/promotions-events. Sharefax Union is an equal opportunity lender and insured by NCUA. All right. Business Day special today at Great American Ballpark as the Reds go for the sweep over the Mets, and Nick Lodolo would face off against the Mets' young ace, Noel McLean. Lodolo would get out of the first couple innings with a couple different ground into double plays, but in the top of the third, he gave up a single to Luis Torrens, and then after a sac bunt, ground out, and walk, Lodolo surrendered a 68.3-mile-an-hour single to Juan Soto, a 72.7-mile-per-hour single to Marcus Semien, and a 90.7-mile-per-hour single to Mark Vientos to drive in 3 runs, giving the Mets a 3-0 lead. Ironically, Alvarez ended the inning with a 109-mile-an-hour ground out, by far the hardest hit ball of the inning, but that is just baseball. The Reds would respond in the bottom of the third after Trevino reached on an error. McLean doubled off of Juan Soto's glove, and then Edwin Arroyo was hit by a pitch to load the bases with 1 out. But J.J. Bleday was robbed of a hit by center fielder A.J. Ewing, but it was still a sac fly, and then Sal Stewart would strike out, ending the threat, and it was 3-1 Mets. Then the Mets would add on in the fifth. Bichette, Soto, Semien all singled. Vientos hit a sac fly, making it 4-1. Alvarez singled, making it 5-1, and A.J. Ewing doubled off the wall, scoring 2 to make it 7-1, and that would end Lodolo's day. His line was 4 2/3 innings, 11 hits, 7 runs, 2 walks, and only 2 strikeouts. Noel McLean, on the other hand, just kept humming along, giving up his second hit. He didn't give up his second hit of the day until the 6th inning when Nathaniel Lowe doubled down the line to put men on second and third, but Suarez would fly out to end the inning. McLean went 7 innings pitched, only 1 run and 9 strikeouts of the Reds. Bichette and Soto drove 2 more runs off of Chris Paddock, who was not helped by his outfield defense, making it 9-1. But besides that, Chris Paddock pitched a pretty impressive 4 1/3 inning in relief, saving the bullpen in this blowout loss. 9-1 is how it would end, and the Reds won the series, but were unable to complete the sweep against the Mets.
All right. If you watch the game, you know what the deep drive of the day is. It's nothing. Absolutely nothing. And listen, Mike before the show was like, "Yeah, we could put McLean's double in there that bounced in front of Soto. We could maybe put name that random player here who hit a fly ball to left field. It did go 362 feet. The unfortunate part is it was a fly out." I said, "You know what, Mike? Just leave it blank, because that's what it is. The deep drive of the day, there wasn't one. But what there is there's Braxton Brewing and there's Ballpark Beer. It is it's the official craft beer partner of the Cincinnati Reds. You can crack open a Ballpark Beer, a crisp German-style light lager crafted perfectly for 9 innings and hot summer nights. And honestly, we should add on to that. It's perfect for watching the Reds, if you know what I mean. You can grab a cold one at Great American Ballpark, Braxton Tap Rooms, or your local retailer, Braxton Brewing, brewed for Reds country. All right, let's not even keep teasing this whole thing. I'll get into it in a second. We'll start with Lodolo, which is kind of lead me into the point that I'm going to make here in just a minute about one thing that I feel like I can guarantee and die on the hill on from now and in forever with the way this Reds front office and the way that this Reds organization has behaved over the last, call it year, 2, maybe even 3 years if we're being honest. But Lodolo today, I'm going to say something that's going to trigger some. Ready for it? He wasn't that bad. Wasn't that bad. Yeah, he fell behind in some counts. I thought he fell behind in some counts. He put himself in some precarious situations that you'd like a guy that's on to perhaps not put himself in. But, the one inning that they got to him early, unfortunately, there's just a couple really, really, really soft hit balls that found the hole. And then outside of that, he also didn't get any help defensively. But Lodolo left the game. He supposedly doesn't have any issues. I know that he, didn't have his best day-to-day from a box score perspective. But as I've said before, and I'll say it again, and I'll continue to say it, is that if Nick Lodolo can stay healthy, then that it probably is the most important thing as we move forward. And he's going to end up being a pretty decent, serviceable arm if he's able to stay healthy. He's going to be somebody that someone should want at the deadline, as long as that blister doesn't flare up yet again, and that causes the major, major concern that some may have.
Yeah, I agree. I think I mentioned it earlier. I think Lodolo's night started out as a little unlucky, right? He got those really soft singles. Like Soto's hit was out of the zone, and he kind of half swung it over McLean. And then I think Semyon's, he was way out in front of it, make a pretty good pitch, and he gave up a single there too. However, I do think that as he got to the end there, he started to run out of gas. So like I said, I think he turned from being unlucky to started missing his spots. Some of the hits in the 5th inning were hit squared up a lot more. And I think part of that sits in the situation where the Reds find themselves, where it's like, to be honest, Tito, it doesn't, them going through the lineup a third time through, especially as you can tell, he doesn't have his swing and miss stuff. He didn't look awful, but he was not getting a bunch of swing and misses. Tito's got to leave him in there in the 5th inning. Like, he can't go to the bullpen here. I know we got a day off tomorrow, but it's like he needs to try to get some length out of there. And then unfortunately he's not able to do that. So it was obviously not a awesome start by Lodolo, but I agree. It is definitely not his worst start that we've seen. He, I think, did make some really good pitches that got either not fielded well, or the play was not made defensively, or just really kind of dropped in there. And that's going to make that line look a lot worse than what it really was.
Yeah, I think that you can get caught up in advanced metrics sometimes and try to paint a narrative that can paint whatever picture you'd like it to paint, right? Like, there's times where you can say, well, this guy, although, this, let's just say a guy's hitting 190, but his expecting batting average is 280. And, we did the whole, and I know Nick defended Cabrian Hayes at length in regards to just the fact that he's better. I think that you can use advanced analytics sometimes to maybe try to make something out that's probably truly still not there. I think today, when I say the average hard hit baseball was less than 70 miles an hour in the inning in which they did the most damage to Nick Lodolo, is probably something that you should, as a baseball fan, like, give some credence to. I know that many of you right now are being like, oh my gosh, he gave up 7 earned runs. You're going to sit here and tell me that he threw the ball well? Listen, if you didn't watch the game, I completely understand. I'd say if you watch the game, you'd realize that one of those, Soto, that's just an incredible piece of hitting. He sticks his bat out there. He barely gets the end of the bat on it. It flares into center field. It drops down. And then the next 2 hits were right off the end of the bat that flare over the infielders. And you give up a couple runs because of that, all with 2 outs, by the way. All of these things were with 2 outs. So you're telling me, as a Reds fan or as a fan in general of baseball, if you think you're a ball knower, you're basically telling me that you think it's more productive if a guy just hits a piss missile that just so happens to be right at somebody, and you're going to give him a standing ovation coming off the mound saying he threw the ball better? I mean, that's the part of the advanced analytics that I do get behind, and I say, listen, you got to at least give some credence to the fact that he didn't throw the ball horrifically bad. If there's one thing that you can push back on what I just said with is that you got to have some swing and miss at some point too, right? Like if you don't have swing and miss, it brings in the opportunity to get unlucky. Chase Burns doesn't get unlucky with 3 or 4 or 5 softly hit base hits. Why? Because they don't even touch the ball. I mean, that's obviously a big reason as to why people want swing and miss guys and strikeouts, is because it eliminates the fact that luck can become a part of it. So yes, I think you could have both sides of the aisle have some semblance of truth, which is he didn't throw the ball good enough at all if he got 7 earned runs. Like, don't come to me with the fact that he threw the ball well. And I think that there's credence to the fact that me and you are saying that he didn't really throw the ball that bad. It's just he had some unfortunate things happen. And truth be told, I guess we'll jump into this now, is that if he had a little bit of help, just a little bit of help, that number doesn't look nearly as bad as it is. And this is the hill I'm ready to die on. And if you're not ready to die on it, that's fine. You do your own thing. But I am done with anybody for the history of this franchise telling me that we can take an infielder, put him in the outfielder, and it's going to be fine. It's going to work out. The guy's an athlete. He can run fast. He can do these things. These guys suck. Period. Point blank. Suck. Spencer Steer is not a good outfielder at all, and Noelvi Marte has no business, absolutely no business playing center field in Major League Baseball. He is horrific. And listen, this isn't Noelvi Marte isn't good. This isn't me saying Noelvi Marte, doesn't deserve to be in the big leagues. He's terrible. This is an organization that takes a guy that's his natural position, decides they want to move him to another position because they don't think that he can play that position well enough, but they want to see his bat in the lineup. And he really, if we're being completely honest, not many of these guys are even worth moving around because their bat isn't good enough. It isn't like we got Barry Bonds trying to figure out how the hell we fit him in the lineup. No, these guys are at best average hitters in the league, and then we stick them in positions they have no right to ever be in. I'm done with it. Like the ball that hits the base of the wall today, okay, that Noelvi Marte just didn't even come close to catching. If you're a casual fan, you're like, oh, that's a double off the wall. That's a double off the wall. What a terrible pitch by Lodolo. That ball was in the air, Mike, forever. And the reality is that I think you asked the question, what was the probability of the catch rate for that? And it wound up being 80%, Mike. I don't know how you feel about this situation. Am I overreacting on the fact that, hey, stick him out there. He's fast. He might give him some time. He could turn into a good outfielder. But based off what I've seen so far, I can't continue watching horrific outfield play from guys that are infielders.
No, I agree with you. I think the move from infield to outfield is not as simple as just, oh, you're athletic, you can start tracking the balls down. It just takes time. It takes reps. It takes all these different situations of balls being hit to you and you knowing how to break. Like if you look at the high home overhead camera on that play, he takes a step in first and then he has to run that's a ball that's at the wall. You shouldn't be coming in first on that. And frankly, do I think that Blake Dunn, if he's out there, catches that ball? Yeah. If I think TJ Friedel is out there, he probably catches that ball because those are natural outfielders that have played there for a while. I'm not ready to say that Noelvi can never play center field again, like in his career. But I am with you in that it feels like we really forced this to try to get him to go to center field in a way, and we paid the price. It was a risk. I think I understand what the mindset for today was Lodolo, who normally does get a lot of swing and miss, right, is somebody that they've frankly rolled the dice with a pretty poor defensive outfield, right? Blade also didn't make a play that we probably think he should have, and had a bad throw to home. Marte made at least 2 bad plays, one that led to a triple, one that was a double, that both led to runs. And Steer, threw a ball, so far up the line that Trevino had to jump out of the way, and then still wasn't able to get, I think it was Soto coming home. So it's like they put out there a pretty poor defensive outfield, hoping that they would probably not have to worry about it as much with Lodolo. But because Lodolo was, giving up contact, it really, really bit them today. It just feels unfair to Marte to put him in a situation like this. Like, this isn't even like, what did he do all offseason, right? He took balls in right field because he was like, that is where, okay, we moved to the outfield. People said, yeah, it was okay in right field, but let's go to right field and then let's, work on that all offseason and then get better at that. And I think we probably have seen a little bit better defense there. But what do they do in the middle of the season when they send him down? They're like, we'll play center field too. It's like, let's add that one to the repertoire. And we can have an argument on what's easier to play, right field or center field. What is better to get, or what's easier to get reads off of the bat, center field or right field? Like, I get that is a conversation that I'm sure they're having, but it just feels really unfair for a guy to, tell him to work on something all offseason and then change it midstream while it's just like, hey, figure it out in AAA, and then we're gonna thrust you into it. So to be honest, I think from what we've seen from Tito in the past, I think we've probably seen the last of Marte in center field for a while. A couple high profile things that I think is just meaning that he's not going to play out there. Again, maybe I'm wrong, but I think Tito kind of has a short leash on that type of stuff too. But yeah, I agree. It just feels unfair to, ask a guy to do something like this with so little actual experience playing in the outfield.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking through the lineup and trying to say, like, okay, these are the guys that you have to get in there. Like, this is where when you pay guys, I know for a fact, you just get a longer leash because you can't prove that you might be wrong on somebody. I mean, we're shuffling the deck, Mike, to try to get a guy in the lineup who, quite honestly, has not been good at all in Eugenio Suarez. And listen, I get it. He's Eugenio Suarez. You're going to have to play him because you paid him. And on top of that, he can get hot at any time and he can carry this offense for months. Okay, well, I'm ready for it. I'm ready. I'm waiting. I mean, we're middle of June now, and I don't know how much longer we have to wait before that happens. But I just look through the lineup and I think to myself, like, okay, you have to have I hesitate in saying this because, again, we go back to this whole fighting match between everybody of like, oh, he sucks too. Why you want to put him out there? Okay, Will Benson is I get it. He's call him not good. I don't care. You call him whatever you want to call him. But I know this, when he plays outfield, it looks competent. It looks like he's played there his whole life. He looks like a guy that can track a ball down, all these things. No offense to Noelvi Marte, but I seen almost what I needed to see the other night on a ball that he actually caught, Mike. I don't know if you're watching the game. If you weren't, I completely understand. But there's a
ball he caught like at his ankles.
Yeah, there's a routine fly ball to right. He looks like he's camped underneath it. And then literally a second before the ball gets there, he takes a quick step in and then snags it off the turf. He caught it, but he catches it right around his ankles. And I'm like, like that's the clearest sign you could ever see that a guy just is not very good out there. I mean, how many times can you watch a really good outfielder and there's a fly ball out there and they just casually jog over, they take a step or walk, they kind of catch the ball on their side because it's just like a nonchalant thing, like almost like they've done it millions and millions of times, and it looks effortless. It looks like it's so damn difficult out there for Noelvi Marte. And the truth is that I don't know how in the world you're ever going to get into a spot where you can trust that in a high leverage game. That's where I keep going back to. It's like you can experiment all you want with all these guys and stick them here and stick them there, but it's like, what actually happens if you get a good enough team that you have to play in championship games? You mean to tell me that you're going to have a guy like Spencer Steer out in the outfield, in right field specifically? Now, left field's a different conversation. I think that times Maybe you can hide guys over in left field at Great American Ballpark a little bit better than right, but it just I think it just goes back to the fact that this team is severely lacking plenty of good players. And that's
right.
That's the hard truth, right? That's the real issue. The underlying issue with this is that we just don't have good players. And right now we're just trying like hell to make something make sense that just we know doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And I know this is, retrospective and, playing the result, but imagine an outfield where it was Steer in left and Benson in center and Marte in right. You're still able to get Marte in to get his at-bats, and then you just DH Blade instead of Suarez. Like, that's an outfield that I think maybe makes or maybe you keep Blade in left and you DH Steer. Whoever you feel is better defensively in left field. That's an outfield that I think makes I think Will Benson catches both of those, the double and the triple that Marte didn't catch. I think we can agree that Benson, a natural outfielder, probably catches those balls. I bet you in right field, Marte probably throws a stronger throw to the plate on that the sac fly. And I know Blade, didn't cover himself in glory, but it's like all of that, and what you give up is the 0 for 4 with a strikeout for Suarez for Benson's bat, which might not have been better, right?
Yeah.
McLean looked really nasty today. That's what we're going to talk about, the offense, but it's like McLean looked really, really good. And sometimes you run into that, but it's just like, well, you sacrifice the 0 for 4 for even another Benson 0 for 4, and you still, this game is a lot closer because you're able to make some of those plays defensively.
I completely agree. I mean, you just look at all the 2-out hits that the Mets were able to get to. You couple that in the fact that the Reds just have too many guys that unfortunately in this lineup are just voids. I mean, they even people aren't going to like this, and I know that Nick took a lot of heat when he said this, but when he called Arroyo, like, the fact that he thinks that he's kind of like just Matt McLain light. You can say whatever you want, but it's close to what it's been so far. And the fact that he's leading power. Yeah, and I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, because I really do think Arroyo has a chance to be a good player, and like it's completely unfair when you try to put high expectations on guys that just get to the league. And really, you could argue that he wasn't ready to ever be up here, but the fact that this team's so bad that he was forced to come up as early as he did. But like, you got a guy like that leading off it's insane to me. And I don't know, it wouldn't have mattered in a day like today. I get it, but just the same. Put it this way: the frustrating thing is it's like the same nuances that seemingly feel like an easy fix don't get adjusted, and the mixed messaging is just at an all-time high. Is where I'm at. It's at an all-time high. Like, you can't say that the little things matter and defense matters. Last year, you go out and you make a trade for Brian Hayes, who theoretically blocks your top prospect at that time, and Stewart coming up to the big leagues and playing every day at third base because you didn't think that he could play third base. Turns out that you were wrong. That they were completely wrong about that, if we're being honest. At this point, I've seen enough of Stewart at third base that I get it. Nick, I know Nick's been reading the Baseball America's tablets, and he's been looking maybe at the advanced analytics down in the minor leagues. I've seen what I need to see. He's competent enough over there to make it work, especially if he hits the way that he does. So let's get that out of the way. But point is, you go out and you say, hey, defense matters. We got to make a change, and we go get Brian Hayes, and we obviously stick through Matt McLain last year, even though he was the worst player in Major League Baseball, because defensively he wasn't too bad. And again, you go through all these things, and Steer's playing first base, and again, no offense to Spencer Steer, but he doesn't really put forth the power and the production that you traditionally get out of first base. But what did he do, Mike, that everybody stood on, and I agree with it? He played good defense at first base, so we sit here and we cheer and we say that, yeah, we're a good defensive team. And then literally less than a year later, we're out there with Sal Stewart at third base, Noel V. Marte in center field, and Spencer Steer in right field, because you have to get some bats in the lineup that are not good at all. That's where there's either a disconnect between the front office and the way in which this team gets managed, or they're flying by the seat of their pants half the time. They don't really have a true identity of what they believe in, and they're going to stick it through no matter what. Or they cave into whatever narrative eventually starts to showcase itself far too quickly to it being a legitimate backbone to what you believe in.
Yeah, I think it's also a case of, and we've seen this multiple players, Tito just sticking with his guys, and it's a thing that makes him beloved by the players that have played for him, but also, things that drive fans crazy with how long he stuck with TJ Friedel, how long he's stuck with Cabrian Hayes, how long he's currently sticking with Suarez. I know Suarez did it 2 home runs at the beginning of the series, but he came up with 2 men on twice, 2 different times, and was unable to drive the run in. And it's just like we're seeing time and time again. I hope that he does get hot. I love Suarez. I am going to his bobblehead game next week. I love Eugenio Suarez, but it's just like there needs to be some sort of, I think he's caught in between of there's this dichotomy of I got to be loyal to my guys, but I also am trying to preach these specific tenets about, good defense and playing the game the right way, and then gets caught when it's just oh shoot, the guy, what do I value more, being loyal or preaching my tenets? You know what I'm saying? And so that's when we get lineups like this, where we just are caught in between being hey, what do we do? What do we do? So I think, I get it. Tito's forgotten more baseball than I have, than I know, but it's just, it is unfortunate when ultimately, I know Lodolo didn't have his great stuff. I know they only scored 1 run, all that kind of stuff, but this game looks a lot different if they're able to make a couple of those plays, because it's just it's just more stressful innings that their bullpen was going to have to deal with, because this game should have been a lot closer than 9-1.
Yeah, I mean, I could look this up as we progress through the show, and perhaps I should have had this on the front end, but the amount of runs that the Mets scored with 2 outs with the opportunity to make a play to end the inning defensively is a lot of runs. I'll look it up here in just a moment, but if I had a guess on the top of my head, it's of the 9 runs, I'd say 6 of the runs are very manageable from the standpoint that the inning would have or should have been over. But if you look at the box score, you're going to say, well, it was a hit. It was a hit, but it's a play that should be made. In Major League Baseball, it's a play that should be made. It's just kind of funny because the stats can be misleading at times, for sure, on a micro basis, right? On a very micro level, you can get persuaded into thinking something might be something that it's not, versus the fact that I do think over the course of a full season, certainly over the course of a career, you can look at these stats as a whole and say, yeah, this is who they were. But again, today's game, they probably lose. Sure, they probably lose no matter what if they have a good defense out there. But I think that the pressure mounts a little bit differently. I think the game goes a little bit differently. And if you didn't watch the game, I completely understand why you're saying 9-1. Really, you're going to convince me 9-1? They could have had a couple of decent plays out there and things would have been different. I guess that's kind of what I'm telling you. But Reds offense, really quickly, before we kind of jump into the end of the show here. I'm still somewhat satisfied. There was a lot of inconsistent hitters certainly on this team, but for the most part, you knew that this was going to come at some point. They've been putting up pretty good stat lines on a night in, night out basis, and tonight, I guess it'd be today, they hit a dry spell, Mike.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you and Nick in talking. It's just this is about as good as I could have expected this offense to be with where it is right now without Elly De La Cruz, right? It's you don't have that guy that, not only gives you production, but, gives protection to the people behind them. Because the people that are batting in front of Elly are going to get more fastballs or more balls in the zone because they don't want to have to pitch to Elly. Elly's on base. The person batting is going to get more fastballs because they don't want Elly to steal. So there's just so many ways that just on top of the all-star production that we were getting, that Elly affects this lineup. So we would expect there to be some drop-off. The continued disappointment to me is the hitting with runners in scoring position. We left, I didn't see what the exact number was, but we left a lot of guys on. Like I said, there were 2 separate situations in which Suarez left 2 men on. We had that that moment in the bottom of the third where we got the bases loaded with one out. Obviously, their center fielder made a great play on JJ Bleday.
Yeah, exactly.
And it changed it. But that's exactly what we're trying to say. It's like a defensive play. If that play doesn't get made,
let's just say really quickly, Mike, if he dives at that ball, it goes by him, goes all the way to the wall. Legitimately, people are gonna that's a legitimate chance at inside the park home run. Don't know if it is
exactly,
but it has a chance. Exactly. And what's the score then? And the game looks a lot different.
Yeah, it's now 4-3 Reds, or at least 3-3 Reds, because all three guys on base are going to score, and then it's a completely different game. So I think that's just an example of, like, early on they made the defensive play that really shifted this game, and we didn't. And I would have liked a little bit more fight out of I think McLean came out in the seventh. I don't know, threw like 85 pitches or something like that. They took him out because. But if it was close, I bet you McLean maybe even goes into the eighth there. So I don't know. It's the hitting with run easy and scoring position is something that's been the Achilles heel here. And I hope
0 for 6 today. 0 for 6 today. Okay. Left 9 on base.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, that doesn't sound that bad compared to some of the lines that we've read off before, where we left like 14 on base or something like that. And so yeah, it's tough. Offensively, sometimes you do run into a good pitcher today. I know we scored 7 runs off of McLean in New York, but like, this guy is considered one of the top pitching prospects for a reason. His stuff looked nasty today, and we didn't capitalize when we had him on the ropes. So it's not going to get any better in New York, because New York, I think we're facing Garrett Cole and Cam Schlittler, who are both very good. So I'm going to need and not going to have Ellie back for at least this weekend. So hopefully this offense is able to at least get some timely hitting, because you're not going to necessarily do, hit very well all the time, but it's just like, if you can get some key hits in certain areas, then I think this offense can continue to stay afloat without Ellie.
Yeah. Well, really one last quick point on the game itself as we move forward. We can all forget this one. But maybe the biggest at bat of the game is the fact that if you want to get on Lodolo for anything that he did today, that was certainly was poor, is that he walks Bichette right in front of Soto on 4 uncompetitive pitches. Like, it wasn't even really a relative serious at bat. Like, anybody in the stadium could have walked up there and seen all 4 of those pitches were balls. And you get to a guy that, again, you want to talk about the quality of the player. Bichette has had his moments in Major League Baseball, but if you want to sit here and say if there's somebody that you want to pitch to right now, splits be damned, lefty on lefty, all that, I don't care. You get to Juan Soto with an opportunity to get Bichette out, and then unfortunately you get the 3 really soft hit balls that score all 3 runs. But to your point, you got to throw strikes, and unfortunately for that situation, he walks Bichette, and it is what it is. They lost. Everybody's to blame. I'm not trying to sit here and act like Lodolo was perfect. He wasn't perfect.
Yep, that's about right. Shall we move to Reds MILB?
Yes, I know that Nick had sent over the scenarios of the decade there. I don't know if you have that, if you want to run
I'm not
going to
lie.
But
I'm not going to lie. I'm going to let Nick fill that one in on the podcast. I'll give you the spark notes for it, but everyone that's watching here, please tune into the podcast too, because Nick will give you the point by point Zapruder film breakdown of how Dayton and Chattanooga make the playoffs. But first, Reds MILB is brought to you by 78 Cigars. Cincinnati legend Anthony Munoz has a new venture, and we are fired up to be partnering with him here on Chatterbox Reds. Introducing 78 Cigars, a premium cigar line from the Hall of Famer himself. If you love a great cigar and Cincinnati football history, this is a perfect combination. You can grab 78 Cigars right now at both Montgomery Inn locations or over at Creekside Cigar Company. You can also check them out online. Just head to anthonymunoz.com, click on 78 Cigars page, and learn more or place your order today. That's 78 Cigars from the greatest offensive lineman to ever do it, Anthony Munoz. Okay. Oh, there we go. All right, Reds MILB. So, Louisville tonight is going to be restarting their suspended game. I believe it's 0-0, but they're starting that suspended game in Gwinnett. That one's going to start at 5:05, and then after that game is over, they will play a second game at around 6:35. Notably, Ellie is supposed to play, I believe. Oh, no, I guess that's Friday is when he will start playing with them, so never mind on that. Chattanooga is playing at Knoxville at 7 p.m., and because Chattanooga is fighting with Knoxville for that playoff spot, there is 5 games to determine who was going to be the champion of the first half. So Chattanooga's just got to win 3 of the 5, and they'll claim that victory. They play at 7 p.m. High A Dayton, it was rained out, unfortunately, and so because of that, it got even more complicated on what they need to do. I think they got to sweep the doubleheader tomorrow. Once again, Nick will fill you in on the podcast of exactly what needs to happen for Dayton to win in that in that doubleheader tomorrow. And then finally, Low A Daytona at St. Lucie. That will be at 6:10 p.m. Hopefully that Daytona team can scratch together a win in a tough season for them.
Yeah. All right. Well, they always have the beach. There's that. So,
that's true.
I don't feel overly sorry for them. And on the way out the door, we obviously have more baseball to be played. I'm going to let the Supers end the show. So, Mike, you can let them know who we can expect to face next.
All right. We have the day off tomorrow, but Friday we will be entering New York to go play the Yankees, New York Yankees, and it will be Rhett Lauder going up against Cam Schlittler. Don't say that one too fast there, because you can get yourself in some FCC trouble. But Cam Schlittler is a right-handed pitcher, 7-3 with a 1.82 ERA. He has been extremely impressive this year in his second year. He has got a 1.82 ERA. He has 96 strikeouts and only 18 walks. He's already accrued 3.8 beat reference WAR. So he's been very good. It's interesting. He throws like 90-something% fastballs. He just throws 3 different fastballs. He's got a 4-seam, a sinker, and a cutter. Throws them all 95 plus, and it's effective. And he'll be facing off against Rhett Lauder. That's Lodolo's face. Sorry about that. But Rhett Lauder, who is 3-3 with a 4.60 ERA. Both Rhett Lauder and Cam Schlittler have never faced the Yankees or the Reds, so there isn't much. It'll be getting their first view of that. That'll be at 7:05 on Reds TV, and then Chatterbox Reds will be live in the 9th inning, as we always are. Hopefully calling I'm going to go like a 2-1 victory, something like that. What do you think? Something like that.
Yeah,
maybe we can get to Schlittler, and Rhett Lauder throws a gem for us. Aaron Judge is out, so that's good. Judge is out, but they still got a bunch of guys that are hitting very, very well. They don't lack for offense over in the Bronx.
Yeah, fair enough. They seem to have the resources to be able to make sure that they might be able to make those things happen from time to time.
That's right.
Frago says, Vandy says, watch us sweep the Yankees for some reason. Yeah, that's how this team works, isn't it? It's like as soon as you're out on them, they do something goofy to keep you back in, and then they rinse and repeat. Frago says, I'm sorry, guys. This is the excuses show. Frago doesn't like the fact that we're making too many excuses for these guys. Too many excuses. I don't know. I feel like we've been fair and balanced. Yeah. Well, fair and balanced. There's sometimes we say some bad things, sometimes say some good things. Ned Flanders, though, he's going to send us out of here. He's going to send us out of here with this. And I just want to say thank you for watching this show. Day game that was absolutely abysmal. The fact that you're here, OG of all OGs, you guys are the true nut cutters. And thank you for your service. Please hit the like button on the way out. But Ned Flanders is going to leave us with this. He says, here's your C-Box parlay for Friday. Haiti beats Brazil. The Reds beat the Yankees, and Iran opens the Strait of Hormuz. You're welcome. Take care, everybody. We'll see you Friday. Love you. Love and honor. Take care. We'll be back Friday night.
Go Reds.